First Contact Chaos. Admiral Zex Teray of the Galactic Federation leaned forward in his command chair, all six of his eyes narrowing at the holographic display. The unassuming yellow star system shouldn't have been remarkable among the billions in their catalog, yet the signals emanating from the third planet had prompted an emergency session of the High Council. "Play it again," he ordered, his scales shifting from blue to a concerned purple. The communications officer, a slender Phroxian with translucent skin, nodded once and reactivated the recording. The cacophony of radio waves washed over the command bridge, a chaotic blend of music, broadcasts, military communications, and something called reality television that had the cultural analysts completely baffled. "The species calls themselves humans," explained Science Officer Lyrith, her tentacles gracefully manipulating the display to zoom in on the blue-green world. "They've achieved nuclear capability, rudimentary space travel, and global communication networks. Yet they still wage war against themselves and debate whether their planet is warming due to their own industrial activities." Admiral Zex Teray's secondary breathing sacs inflated with concern. Such cognitive dissonance shouldn't be possible in a spacefaring species. "That's only the beginning of their contradictions," Admiral Lyrith continued. "They've created artificial intelligence, but primarily use it to show them images of domesticated animals wearing clothing. They've split the atom but continue burning fossilized organic matter for energy. They've reached their moon but spend more resources on developing weapons than space exploration." The Admiral's scales darkened further. In 300 cycles of service to the Federation, he'd encountered 47 new species, but none so perplexing. The standard first contact protocols suddenly seemed inadequate. "Recommendations?" he asked his senior staff. Strategic Commander Vorex, a hulking Targonian whose silicon-based biology made him nearly indestructible, spoke with the slow deliberation characteristic of his species. Standard procedure would dictate continued observation until they achieve faster-than-light travel. However, he paused, mandibles clicking in what passed for hesitation among his kind. Their technological progression is erratic and accelerating. They may achieve FTL capability decades before our models predict. There's also the matter of their entertainment media," added cultural specialist Mira, a gaseous entity contained within an environmental suit. They'd produce thousands of scenarios about first contact with alien civilizations. Some depict peaceful cooperation, but many envision violent conquest, either by the aliens or by humans themselves. They're simultaneously hoping for and terrified of us. Admiral Zex Teray absorbed this information, his neural pathways processing the implications. "We'll establish a covert observation post. I want a full assessment before we bring this to the High Council." The observation team established themselves in orbit around Earth's moon, using technology sentries beyond human detection capabilities. The team consisted of 11 specialists representing different Federation species, each chosen for their expertise in xenoanthropology, military analysis, cultural studies, and biological sciences. What should have been a standard 6-month assessment mission turned into something unprecedented. The initial reports were confusing enough that the observation period was extended, then extended again. "They are simultaneously the most brilliant and most foolish species we've ever encountered," wrote lead observer Kira Null in her 7th report. "Their scientific achievements are remarkable given their short lifespans and limited resources, yet they squander much of their potential on trivial pursuits and destructive conflicts." The observation team documented humans doing everything from climbing frozen mountains without survival gear to creating intricate art that served no practical purpose. They watched humans risk their lives to save strangers and wage war over abstract concepts. They observed humans showing remarkable kindness to other species on their planet while driving others to extinction through neglect. Their approach to problem-solving defies all logical frameworks, noted technology specialist Dex. When facing an obstacle, other species typically choose the most efficient solution based on available resources. Humans, however, seem to relish complexity and improvisation. They call it creativity and celebrate unconventional approaches even when standard methods would suffice. Military analyst Jurgen, a member of the warlike Krell species, found humans particularly fascinating. Their tactical doctrines are alarmingly unpredictable, he reported. They have formal military structures but encourage individual initiative in a way that would be considered chaotic in Federation forces. More concerning is their ability to weaponize almost anything. In one historical conflict, they used simple agricultural tools to defeat a technologically superior force. The observation mission had been underway for 11 Earth months when the unexpected occurred, a crisis that would force direct intervention against all protocols. The asteroid was approximately 1.7 kilometers in diameter, composed primarily of nickel iron, and on a collision course with Earth. The Federation's sensors detected it long before human astronomers would, giving them a front-row seat to what would likely be an extinction-level event. Admiral Zex, upon receiving the report, immediately convened an emergency session of the Mission Command. "We cannot interfere," stated Protocol Officer Fax flatly, his crystalline form glittering under the ship's lights. Directive 7 clearly states that natural planetary events must be allowed to proceed without intervention. "This species will be completely destroyed," countered Science Officer Lirith. "Their potential will be lost." "We don't know that," Fax replied. "Their governments have rudimentary asteroid detection systems. They may identify it in time. Their current technology gives them a 12% chance of successful deflection," Dex calculated, "and that assumes perfect cooperation between their nation-states, which historical analysis suggests is unlikely." The debate raged for hours, with the command staff divided. The Federation had strict non-interference policies for pre-FTL civilizations, established after disastrous first contacts in their early history. Admiral Zex finally raised all four arms, signaling for silence. "We will maintain observation, but prepare a deflection plan as a contingency. If the humans detect the threat and mount their own defense, we will assess whether covered assistance might be justified." 3 days later, human astronomers detected the asteroid. The observation team watched as the news spread across the planet, triggering everything from panic to denial to pragmatic response. What happened next astonished even the most experienced xenologists on the team. Rather than descending into chaos, the humans rallied. Nations that had been adversaries days before shared resources and information. Scientists worked around the clock, proposing and testing deflection strategies. In homes and schools and laboratories, humans faced extinction not with resignation but with determined resistance. Their response is statistically anomalous, reported behavioral analyst Emar. No other observed species has demonstrated this level of cooperation and innovation under existential threat without unified planetary governance. The humans' plan was audacious. Repurpose existing space launch vehicles to deploy nuclear devices that would alter the asteroid's trajectory. It was theoretically sound but limited by their technology and the short time frame. The observation team calculated a 37% chance of success, better than initial estimates, but far from certain. As the first human rockets launched toward the asteroid, a systems malfunction aboard one of the Federation's cloaked observer drones caused it to momentarily become visible to Earth's tracking systems. The effect was immediate. Human military channels erupted with activity. The asteroid deflection mission was temporarily paused as resources diverted to investigate the unknown object near their aerospace operations. "We've been compromised," reported Security Chief Vex grimly. Their detection was brief but confirmed. They're already analyzing the sensor readings. Admiral Zex scales shifted through a spectrum of colors before settling on the deep blue of decision. "The situation has changed. If they divert resources from the asteroid deflection to investigate us, their already marginal chance of success drops to unacceptable levels." He stood, addressing the entire command staff. "Prepare for first contact." Dr. Elena Reyes had been awake for nearly 40 hours straight when the call came through to Mission Control. As NASA's lead astrophysicist on Project Safeguard, she'd been coordinating with teams across the globe on humanity's desperate bid to divert the Apophis asteroid. The detection of an unknown object near their operations had thrown another variable into an already nearly impossible equation. Military thinks it might be Russian or Chinese, her colleague Dr. Patel explained, rubbing his exhausted eyes. But both countries deny it, and the energy signature doesn't match anything in our databases. Elena was about to respond when every screen in Mission Control suddenly displayed the same message in perfect English. We can help you. Continue your mission. We will ensure its success. For several seconds, stunned silence filled the room. Then chaos erupted as technicians tried to trace the source of the message, security personnel initiated lockdown protocols, and scientists debated whether this was an elaborate hoax. The screens changed again, displaying technical specifications for the asteroid were more detailed than anything Earth's instruments could provide, along with a proposed modification to their deflection plan. Elena studied the data, her scientific mind cutting through the shock and fear. This is legitimate, she finally said, loud enough to cut through the noise. These calculations account for variables we haven't been able to measure. And this deflection modification, it's elegant. It would increase our odds significantly. You can't seriously be suggesting we trust this, whatever it is, argued General Winters, the military liaison to the project. I'm suggesting we evaluate the data on its merits, Elena replied firmly. We're trying to prevent human extinction. I don't care if help comes from Russia, China, or little green men. The debate raged at Mission Control and soon at the highest levels of government. With time running short, a compromise was reached. They would proceed with the modified plan but maintain full military alertness. 12 hours later, as the nuclear packages approached the asteroid, observers around the world witnessed something extraordinary. An invisible force seemed to amplify the explosive effect, precisely altering the asteroid's course beyond what should have been possible with Earth's technology alone. As the asteroid's trajectory shifted safely away from Earth, the same message appeared on communication systems worldwide. We would like to introduce our CLVs. Your species has shown Readman Air Ka Poti into Ale. The Federation's first official contact team landed on neutral territory in Antarctica, meeting with a hastily assembled delegation of Earth's political leaders, military officials, and scientific experts. Admiral Zexterai, leading the delegation, braced himself for terror or hostility, the typical responses of pre-FTL civilizations to the revelation that they were not alone. Instead, the humans surprised him yet again. There was fear, yes. Suspicion, certainly. But overwhelming both was curiosity. The human scientists, in particular, seemed more excited than frightened, peppering the Federation representatives with questions faster than their translation systems could process. "You've been watching us," asked Elena Reyes, who had been selected for the contact team due to her role in the asteroid deflection. "Yes," admitted the Admiral, his scales shifting to a truthful green. "For approximately 1 Earth year, your species is unique in our experience." "In what way?" asked the UN Secretary-General. The Admiral gestured to his multi-species delegation. The Galactic Federation includes 347 sentient species across 1,200 star systems. We have encountered civilizations with greater technological advancement than yours in species with remarkable biological capabilities. But we have never encountered a species with your particular combination of contradictions. He paused, searching for the right words. You are simultaneously divided and unified, rational and emotional, methodical and improvisational. You can conceive of your own extinction, yet refuse to accept it as inevitable. You imagine threats that do not exist while overlooking real dangers. You dream of peace while preparing for war. The human delegation exchanged glances, some uncomfortable, others amused. From our perspective, the Admiral continued, you appear to operate on chaos. Yet within that chaos, you demonstrate remarkable adaptability and innovation. The asteroid crisis demonstrated this clearly. Facing extinction, you united across your arbitrary national boundaries and developed a viable defense strategy with limited technology and time. We had help, Alina pointed out. Minimal help, corrected Science Officer Lirith. We merely amplified your existing plan. The core approach was sound, if improbable. General Winters leaned forward. And why exactly did you decide to help us? What do you want in return? The Admiral's scales rippled with what might have been the equivalent of a sigh. Our initial directive was non-interference. The decision to reveal ourselves was not unanimous. Some believed your species represents untapped potential. Others warned that your unpredictability makes you dangerous. And what do you believe, Admiral? Asked Alina. I believe, he said after a moment's consideration, that the galaxy would be less interesting without humans in it. And now that first contact has occurred, we must discuss your integration into the wider galactic community. The unexpected alliance. 5 years after first contact, the Galactic Federation's Earth Embassy occupied a sprawling complex outside Geneva. The transition of humanity into the interstellar community had been neither smooth nor disastrous. Much like humans themselves, it was a contradictory mixture of remarkable successes and perplexing complications. Ambassador Lirith, promoted from her former role as science officer, tentatively considered the integration a qualified success, despite the frequent headaches it caused the Federation's bureaucracy. She reviewed the latest incident report with a mixture of exasperation and amusement. They did what? Asked Admiral Zextarai, now serving as Federation military liaison to Earth. A human engineer modified the atmospheric processors on the Mars colony, Lirith explained, without authorization, using parts from what they call a vacuum cleaner and something called duct tape. The Admiral's scales shifted to a concerned lavender. That technology is centuries beyond their development level. Unauthorized modifications could have catastrophic consequences. That's the interesting part, Lirith continued. The modifications increased efficiency by 32%. Our engineers are still trying to understand how these improvised components could possibly work better than our standard designs. The Admiral made a sound that his universal translator didn't bother to convert. After 5 years, he'd learned that humans had a unique talent for creating solutions that violated both protocol and occasionally he understood laws of physics. There's more, Lirith added. The Federation Science Council is requesting that the engineer be assigned to the Proxima Research Station. Apparently, this isn't the first time he's improved our technology. What did you tell them? That humans don't respond well to being assigned anywhere. I've suggested an exchange program instead. The Admiral nodded approvingly. They'd all learned that humans responded better to opportunities than directives. The integration of humans into the wider galactic community had produced numerous such incidents. When introduced to the Federation's faster-than-light technology, human scientists had asked questions that Federation experts had never considered. When shown the standard template for interstellar vessels, human engineers had immediately suggested a dozen modifications, 3 of which had actually been implemented across the fleet. The cultural exchange had been equally eventful. Human entertainment now circulated throughout Federation space, with some species becoming particularly fond of Earth music and storytelling. Federation cuisine had been revolutionized by human cooking techniques and flavors, though not always successfully. The Phryxian diplomatic incident involving extra spicy chicken wings remained a cautionary tale at the Diplomatic Academy. Most significant had been the military implications. Although humanity's technology remained primitive by Federation standards, their tactical thinking had proven invaluable. Human military advisors now served throughout the Federation fleet, bringing what they called outside-the-box thinking to strategic planning. We've received a priority communication from High Command, the Admiral said, changing the subject. The Crexus Dominion has increased activity along their border with Federation space. Lyrith's tentacles stilled. The Crexus, a predatory species with a hive mind consciousness, had been expanding aggressively for decades, assimilating or destroying civilizations in their path. The uneasy stalemate with the Federation had held for nearly a century, but tensions periodically flared. "Do we notify the Earth governments?" she asked. "Not yet. The High Council doesn't want to cause unnecessary alarm. Earth remains in a protected development zone. They wouldn't be a primary target." Neither of them acknowledged the other truth, that in 5 short years, humans had become surprisingly important to the Federation. Their rapid integration and innovative contributions had accelerated Federation development in unexpected ways. If the Crexus were to learn of this, Earth might become a very tempting target indeed. 3 months later, the Admiral's concerns proved prophetic. A Crexus scouting force breached Federation space, heading directly for the Sol system. "They know about the humans," confirmed Strategic Commander Vorex during the emergency briefing. "Our intelligence suggests they've been monitoring our exchanges with Earth. They perceive humanity as a strategic asset to the Federation, and therefore a threat to be eliminated." Federation vessels moved to intercept, but the Crexus had calculated their approach carefully. A smaller, faster contingent broke through the defensive line, making straight for Earth. "Planetary defenses are inadequate against this level of technology," reported Defense Coordinator Thax. "Even with the upgrades we've provided." Admiral Zex Teray made a rapid decision. Deploy the 7th Fleet to Earth and activate the Human Military Advisory Group. The Integrated Human Federation Response Team had been formed largely as a diplomatic gesture, a way to include Earth in Federation defense planning without actually expecting them to contribute significantly to a conflict involving vastly superior technology. Now, they would face a real threat. General Elena Reyes, the former NASA scientist who had risen to prominence after first contact, led the human contingent. In the 5 years since asteroid Apophis, she had immersed herself in Federation technology and strategy, becoming one of the most respected human voices in interstellar affairs. "The Crexus vessels will reach Earth orbit in approximately 47 hours, she noted, studying the tactical display. "Our planetary defense systems can be considered essentially decorative against their shields. The Federation reinforcements will arrive 12 hours too late. We're deploying additional ships from the Proxima station," offered Vorex, "but they won't arrive in time either." "Then we need to slow the Crexus down," Elena said simply. Admiral Zex Teray's scales shifted to a skeptical blue-green. "Their propulsion technology exceeds anything Earth possesses. You cannot outrun or outmaneuver them." "No," Elena agreed, "but we might be able to use their own momentum against them." What followed was a prime example of what the Federation had come to recognize as human improvisation. Elena and her team proposed repurposing Earth's space debris tracking systems to create a minefield of sorts, not with conventional explosives, but with precisely calculated clouds of particles that would interact with the Crexus shields in ways that would force them to slow or risk damage. "This is theoretical at best," protested Thax. "The mathematical precision required is substantial," Elena finished for him. "But we don't need to stop them completely. We just need to buy time." The Admiral studied the human officer's face. 5 years of interaction with humans had taught him to recognize their expressions better than most Federation officials. What he saw now was not desperate hope, but calculated determination. "Implement the plan," he ordered. The Crexus approached Earth with the confidence of technological superiority, their hive consciousness already anticipating the assimilation of human knowledge and the elimination of a Federation asset. They didn't expect resistance worthy of their attention. The particle cloud appeared on their sensors as a minor annoyance, space debris that their advanced shields would easily repel. But as they entered the carefully calculated field, something unexpected happened. The particles, manipulated into specific formations by Earth's repurposed tracking systems, created resonance patterns that interfered with their shield harmonics. The effect wasn't devastating, but it was significant enough to force them to reduce speed or risk shield failure. What should have been a quick approach became a cautious advance, buying precious hours for Earth's defenders. But the humans weren't content with merely slowing the invasion. Even as the particle gambit played out, teams around the planet were implementing the second phase of Elena's strategy. "We're repurposing our entire satellite network," she explained to the Admiral as they monitored the situation from the Geneva Command Center. Communication satellites, weather monitors, even private corporate systems, all redirected to create a distributed sensor array. "To what end?" the Admiral asked. "You cannot hope to penetrate Craxus encryption with Earth technology." Elena smiled. "We're not trying to hack them. We're trying to talk to them." The plan was audacious. The Craxis hive mind communicated through quantum-entangled pathways that allowed instantaneous coordination across vast distances. This gave them a significant tactical advantage. But like any communication system, it had inherent vulnerabilities. The repurposed satellite network began broadcasting a carefully modulated signal designed not to jam the Craxis communications, but to introduce subtle distortions. Cognitive static that would force the hive mind to allocate resources to filtering it out. "It's like trying to have a conversation in a noisy room," Elena explained. "You can still communicate, but it takes more effort to focus." As the Craxis struggled with unexpected interference on multiple fronts, the Federation reinforcements gained precious time. When the 7th Fleet finally arrived, they found the Craxis invasion force already in disarray, their normally perfect coordination compromised. The battle was still fierce. Craxis technology remained superior to much of what the Federation deployed. But the combination of Elena's disruptive tactics and conventional Federation firepower gradually turned the tide. The final blow came from an unexpected source. A team of human hackers, working with Federation technical specialists, managed to introduce a mimetic virus into the Craxis communication network, not traditional code, but a conceptual paradox designed to create cognitive dissonance within the hive mind itself. "We based it on Earth philosophical problems," one of the hackers explained afterward. "The kind of logical contradictions that humans find intriguing, but that a unified consciousness structured around perfect order might find problematic." The Craxis fleet, suddenly experiencing the equivalent of a collective migraine, began to retreat. Pursuit vessels from the Federation fleet ensured they left Federation space entirely. In the aftermath, the High Council convened a special session to discuss the implications of the battle. Earth representatives were invited to attend for the first time, a significant diplomatic advancement accelerated by recent events. The defense of Earth succeeded due to an unprecedented integration of Federation technology and human innovative tactics, reported Admiral Zex-Terai. Strategies that would not have been conceived by either group independently. The ancient Cerulean who led the council leaned forward, multifaceted eyes blinking thoughtfully. "This confirms what some have suspected since first contact. Humanity represents something unique in our experience, a species whose greatest strength lies not in any specific capability, but in their adaptability and unconventional thinking. They are also," noted another council member, "unpredictable and potentially dangerous. The same creativity that devised defenses against the Craxis could one day be turned against the Federation itself." Elena Reyes, representing Earth at the session, listened calmly to the debate about her species. When invited to speak, she approached the central podium with measured confidence. "The Federation has existed for millennia," she began. "You've built an interstellar community based on shared principles and orderly development. We admire what you've accomplished and are grateful for your welcome." She paused, looking around at the assembled representatives of hundreds of worlds. "But humans will never conform perfectly to your expectations. Contradiction is built into our nature. We question when we should accept. We improvise when we should follow protocol. We imagine possibilities that may never exist while overlooking realities right in front of us." The chamber remained silent, listening. "These traits make us difficult partners sometimes, I won't deny that. but they also allow us to see solutions that might be invisible to more consistent minds. The Craxus expected a Federation response. They didn't expect humans. The Galactic Council leader's ancient features shifted in what might have been amusement. You make a compelling case for your species' value, General Reyes, and recent events support your assessment. Then I would propose a formal alliance, Alina continued. Not merely protection status, but true partnership. Earth brings different strengths to the Federation. Not advanced technology or vast resources, but human ingenuity and perspective. The council chambers filled with the murmur of hundreds of species debating simultaneously. The Xarillion raised a gnarled appendage for silence. The council will consider your proposal, but regardless of the formal arrangement, recent events have made one thing clear. The ancient being's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. The galaxy has become a more interesting place since we discovered Earth. Admiral Zexterai, watching from his position near the chamber wall, found his scales shifting involuntarily to a color rarely seen among his species, a peculiar shade that indicated not certainty or concern but anticipation. The humans were unpredictable, contradictory, and often maddening. They broke protocols, asked inconvenient questions, and solved problems in ways that sometimes created new ones. But they had also brought something valuable to the Federation, a reminder that there was always another way to see the universe. As the council session concluded, the Admiral found himself experiencing an emotion he hadn't expected: curiosity about what these strange, contradictory humans would do next. Whatever it was, he was certain of one thing: it would not be boring.